Well, here we are on Metropolis, and in the bottom, well, it's more like just a direct left side of the map. In the blue, we have our winner of our last game, FXO.Elbegast. I'm not sure if I guess they're just FXO Esports CIS now, not IMBA anymore. They've been balanced.
Not IMBA FX. Yes, they're balanced once again.
And over here in the red, our Terran player. Some people know him as Harrier, but we know him as
ZeNEX.
It's more like
no, back of the throat. Back of the throat.
Ooh.
No, you mean as in surprise or alarm. Yes,
that's
right. Sorry. Oh, God. I can go really far with Monty Python quotes.
Oh, man.
Please hold me back
Why
the
did
next
he
time.
name himself that? I mean, that brings Korean ID laziness to a whole new low, right? I mean, we have Nest-T. Yeah, because he had a Nest-T on his desk, right?
Right.
But now we've just got some guy who just held a key down for a couple seconds. Come on. Come on, Korea. Put a little effort into it, please. Come on. This is your ID, man. It's important.
Clearly. No, actually, you know, I like the Korean idea, though, of recognizing players by their names and stuff like that. So, very, very cool. Looks like, though, nothing too out of the ordinary. We are cross positions, of course. You have option of spawning cross positions or close positions by air, which can make for some pretty entertaining games as well.
Yep.
Harrier has already gone well past the resources required to put down a gas, so he'll opt for a 1-Rex gasless fast expand.
Yep. So TVP is one of those matchups that we've seen go into the late game more often than not. Not a lot of TVPs ending early unless it's like a one-base all-in from Terran or something like that. Most players are kind of content to be like, all right, let's just do ghosts versus whatever your tech is. And yeah, that's what we've seen a lot of. So a lot of TVPs come down to that late game control.
Yep.
We'll have to see what Harrier and Elbegast decide to do.
Yeah.
There's a scouting probe going out, and he doesn't find him there, so obviously he knows where it is because, like you mentioned, it's either cross or close by air on this map.
And, you know, we saw a TVP on this game about 150 times yesterday because we were holding our community caster contest for the IPL5 qualifiers. And, oh, look at that. Elbegast able to sneak on through. And, of course, he'll see that there's no gas up. And we'll know that the build is pretty normal so far. Yep. But, yeah, a game on this map, actually. A TVP that came down to storm control at the end. But, of course, we had to watch it so many times because we had 150 applications for community casters that got old after a while.
Yep. Oh, man, it felt like being on American Idol.
Yes.
I think we said that yesterday, but it did.
It did, yeah.
But not auditioning. It felt like being the judges on American Idol.
My brother called me out for comparing myself to Randy Jackson. So.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, dog.
I'm the Steven Tyler of
you have a giant mouth?
Judging. Well, some people might say that, yeah. It's true.
All right. Well, 2 more barracks and a bunker coming up now for Harrier, so nothing too out of the ordinary. Probably double gas after this, and he can decide whether he wants to prioritize quick medevacs or drops or if he wants to go into very fast upgrades.
Oh, I like this. Just sending that Zealot just to kind of, you know, the term in a lot of sports is just to keep your opponent honest. This certainly does it too. It's just one of those little checks. It's like, all right, you're building your bunker at the right time. Looks like you are. All right.
Yep.
Nothing wrong. He's not going to lose that Zealot. But
Skill
if that
checks.
bunker wasn't there, he can get in there and kill a couple units too.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Always a good thing to do if you are a Protoss player. And there's a Stalker as well, so he will be able to put a little bit of pressure on here if he chooses to. Some players like to just do a little bit of damage to the bunker.
Yeah.
Get it repaired a bit.
Yep, nothing too out of the ordinary, though, as we did have Harrier double gas right afterwards, and we'll have enough for a couple of add-ons momentarily if he so desires. Back on Elbegast side of things, though, following up with a second gateway and then a third gateway, so not going for an immediate robo, going to prioritize a couple of gates before he gets that down.
Yep, and if he wants to, if he notices that there kind of remains to be one bunker at Harrier's natural, he could decide to do some sort of push with that, maybe get in there and do some damage. But in general, you know, it's like I mentioned earlier, a lot of players just kind of preferring to play for the late game. Now, we've got a tech lab and a factory coming up for Harrier right now. So it looks like it is going to be, you know, him kind of going into those upgrades, going into medevacs fairly soon. He could conceivably maybe do siege tanks as well, but I sincerely doubt that's going to get switched over and do that. That's not a very popular thing for ZeNEX Terrans, really. Terrans in general to do.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of Terran players, though, that put down this factory quite a bit later. They'll sit on 3 barracks for a while, get all of their add-ons, get combat shields and Stimpak, and put down an engineering bay for +1 before they ever put down that factory. So this one definitely prioritizing those medevacs. So we could see some aggression out of Harrier in a bit.
Yeah, going for Stim first as well. So, yeah, definitely going for the more kind of aggressive side of things here. And there is the first observer coming out, so he's going to be able to see what's going on in the robo base. So, yeah, both of these players just kind of doing very sort of classic, standard Protoss and Terran builds. Yeah,
we see Harrier already taking a little more aggressive position with his. It remains to be seen what comes out of Elbegast, though, because now he's kind of at an impasse. Does he double forge now and play that Creator Prime style where he gets a lot of upgrades, or does he throw down 3 more gateways and then hit with just this disgusting 2 Colossus attack, pretty early on in the game? So this is going to be an interesting contrast of styles depending on what Elbegast does next.
Yeah, we'll see what he decides to do. Let's see, because he is kind of floating a little bit. He's going to have enough for a Colossus right away, of course, when the robotics bay finishes. And we might even see him just do Thermal Lance right away as well. Yeah, it looks like he's going to save up for that, too. All right.
See, there's 200, 200, and waiting. Don't make us wait too long. That's okay. Anyway, we'll get back to that.
Yeah, I needed a pylon first, it looks like. So the observer gets in, sees everything, sees the barracks going at the upgrades, sees the first 2 medevacs pop out. And that is a pretty common timing for Terran to come in and attack. Oh, nice snipe by Harrier.
Yep. Very, very good. So let's see here now as a couple of medevacs are out, starting to heal up a few of those forces. And looks like he's going to launch a small attack. Now, his opponent did decide to go for the little bit more aggressive method, of course, behind a multitude of Colossi with early range. No forges to be seen quite yet. They would have already hit if we were going to see that Creator Prime style of play.
Yep. Now, Harrier is very marine heavy, and so Elbegast Colossi will be nice against that. The thing, though, that he needs to worry about is that his gateway army is going to be a lot smaller than it would normally be, just because he did go for Thermal Lance and Colossi so quickly.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll have to see if Harrier decides to push in or not. He could just decide to drop an elevator up onto the high ground. But, oh, yeah, that's actually what he's doing. And that's not going to work too well.
No, actually getting cleaned up pretty quickly. A few units trying to run in through the front as well, but Elbegast has done a fair job so far of handling this, actually cleaning out quite a bit with the Colossus. So, Harrier not getting a whole lot done there. He's going to lose his factory as well. Wasn't planning on building a starport again for a while, so it's not that big of a deal, but still.
Wow, to be completely honest, I'm really surprised that Harrier did that. When your opponent has Colossi out like that already, you generally don't want to split things up like that because it's just too easy, especially if it's Marines, for like 1 Colossi to sit there and hit them as they come out of the medevac. So yeah, definitely kind of a botched attack by Harrier. He's going to have to sit back and think about turtling up a little bit, get some more upgrades and things like that. But it's a very uncharacteristic mistake for a Terran player at this level to try something like that.
And you were absolutely right about bunkering up. He is already making a couple of... Well, this is kind of interesting. I didn't know. Looks like Elbegast is going to take his advantage and try and just hold it macro because he drops down double forge. He's cleaning up the rocks to go over to his 3rd as well, especially getting those initial 6 warp gates so early on before the forges. He had the potential to launch a very, very strong attack and just try and overpower his opponent, but he's going to sit back for a little while. And, of course, that does give his opponent a chance to kind of climb his way back into this and gain an advantage because he put up his own third base as he was moving up before.
Yeah, I actually like that Elbegast didn't attack there. When you see something like that hit, you know that there's going to be Marauders and things like that waiting at home, maybe even a couple Vikings. So with an advantage, you can try it, but it's the whole, when you're ahead, get more ahead. He could take that, smaller chance of winning now, or just kind of wait, take a third, continue getting upgrades and things like that, knowing that he's just won a fight and have a better chance of winning later. So now all he needs to do is defend against drops like this one.
Yeah, definitely. So starting to make its way down. Fortunately, there's going to be a lot of Stalkers to greet him. He will have to move away. So Stalkers are already up. And see if he goes after the medevacs first. No, looks like he's going to try and hit a couple of units. We'll lose a few Stalkers, but we'll see how much. Wow, actually not attacking with all of the Stalkers at the same time, exposing some of them to a little bit of unnecessary fire. But he will eventually be able to clean up the medevacs anyway and get everything out.
Yep, that's right. Getting both of those medevacs helps quite a bit. And another medevac coming in here might be able to cause a cancel on the 3rd. It's going to take Harrier a little while, or Elbegast a little while to get over there.
Yeah, we'll see what...
it actually finished, so yeah, that's not going to...
Yeah.
Not going to get canceled, unless it's canceled by bullets.
That's the worst kind of canceling, honestly, when you're playing. So, is starting to hit a couple of probes and go after the assimilator. Now, finally moving back, targeting, taking out, and denying some economy there. Units are rushing back for Elbegast. Don't think he's going to be able to get this base, unfortunately, but Harrier is still going to lose this drop.
Yeah. Well, the medevac does appear to get away this time, at least for him. That does help. Yeah, look at that. 4 Colossi out already. 1 more on the way. How many Vikings are out right now? Is it just those 4? Okay,
yep.
Just those 4 Vikings. And now Elbegast, or Harrier rather, needs to choose between Vikings and medevacs, and that's going to hurt his overall bio composition as well. And I like this, going for the Ghost Academy right now. Quickly to get those ghosts out, be able to EMP some of those sentries and make it just even easier for him to kind of roll over his opponent's army.
And he is going to have a few more Vikings by the time this does actually hit, as he'll have 8 here in just a bit. But no, before though, it was kind of an interesting decision out of Elbegast to sit back like that. He's macroing quite well now, though, and Blink's coming up. Further upgrades are coming up, starting to add on 7th and 8th gates for now. So, but of course, Harrier, having that 3rd base done so much quicker and almost finishing up a 4th as well, will have a very, very nice economic position to move into the late game.
Yeah, it's completely anyone's game at this point.
Yeah.
Either one of these players could win this very easily. It's a very, very typical TVP. We see some aggression early on, but both sides are good at defending it. Both sides are good at knowing when to pull back if it's going badly. So a lot of games tend to get to this point, kind of getting to the later game. Templar Archives now being added on for Elbegast.
Yep. And
switch over.
Building finishes very, very quickly, so we'll have those Templar here momentarily. We'll probably start Storm right away as well. So back for Elbegast now. 2 more gateways, so we will be a total of 10, I do believe, if my count is correct. Yeah, it looks like that's the case. And he'll be on 2-2 upgrades here very soon as well. Actually, both players at about the same upgrades. Slight advantage for Elbegast.
Yeah, so it's good to see Elbegast get that high of a gateway count early on in the game. You nearly never see 10 gates at like the 15-minute mark, but that's a way that a lot of Protoss players get overrun, right? I mean, they try to do some damage, they may fail, they may trade armies, and then Terran has, like, lots of barracks going. He's got some of them reactored, able to reproduce an army very quickly, whereas Protoss has to do like warp-ins of 5 or 6 gates at a time and just can't reproduce quick enough. And
we see Elbegast actually turning those into Archons right away as he slaps down 2 more robotics facilities. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool decision. No Storm in sight, though, which is certainly going to be very interesting for the upcoming engagement. The Viking count starting to get very, very high now for Harrier, who actually both players now are maxed.
Well, I'm really curious to see what Elbegast is going to do out of this. If he's just going to continue to kind of pump out Colossi, or if he's going to, switch more over to the Templar side of things. Like you said, no Storm yet, but I feel like it's something he's going to want to think about getting very soon.
5th base coming up. For Harrier as +3 upgrades hitting for both at the moment.
Nice EMP.
Yeah, hits a couple of units with those EMPs, especially hitting those Archons was very, very nice. That's what he wants to tank at the beginning of this engagement. So 6 Colossi out though, but there are a fleet of Vikings overhead. How quickly will they dispatch other Colossi? Therein lies the question. Colossi are getting off quite a few shots, dealing with a lot of those bio units on the ground, but the Stalkers have not been able to deal with the Vikings. Those expensive Colossi are all falling.
Yeah, the Marauders being the last ones to live here. The Vikings taking out that last Colossus, and supplies still very even. Oops, a couple Vikings being lost there, but all in all, that kind of came out pretty even. I mean, we do see Elbegast pushing him back now, but how far will it go? Reinforcements are going to be coming up soon for our Terran player.
Elbegast actually sitting on quite a bit more resources than his opponent, despite the fact that he has not established a 4th yet. There, finally, 4th Nexus coming down, but the 5th is already finished now for Harrier. So he's getting to the point where he'll be able to sack SCVs pretty soon because he'll have so many orbital commands.
Look at that, 3 Colossi on the way at once now for Elbegast. Awesome. Yeah, he's just going to stick with it. He's got the opportunity to go Storm, and I actually really like Psionic Storm on this map just because of the narrower chokes that you see kind of moving throughout the map. I generally think that Storm is the better choice, but he knows he killed a lot of Vikings. He knows his opponent has a decent amount of ghosts out already, so the choice to go Colossi does make a lot of sense, too, in this case.
And importantly, had to rebuild his medevac count, so
yeah,
that is kind of cool. So Elbegast now making 3 Colossi at a time. As you pointed out, he'll be on 6 here with a lot of Stalkers very, very soon. Oh, scan coming down. Will Elbegast bring back units in time? Does he have a Warpin cycle? No, not really. 3 of those Colossi are coming up, and the robotics may go down, so Colossus production is actually going to be stopped. Another pylon falling here, and finally this will get cleaned up, but quite a bit of damage done at the same time. Another drop making its way in.
Yeah, and this is almost certainly going to need to be canceled here. Oh, will he cancel the Nexus? No, he doesn't. If that gets targeted down, he will definitely lose that Nexus. There it goes.
Boom.
And Harrier's just going to pick up and run away here. No, actually cleaning up a couple of the Zelts first. Why not?
Yeah, there's not that many units there, so now finally making his way out of there. Looks like Elbegast going to try and head these off at the pass. Will successfully do so. 1 drop actually kept back, so 1 medevac is going to fall. A second may here in just a second as well. Will he have enough? Yes!
Oh, Harrier has lost so many medevacs this game. That has hurt him quite a bit, and especially because Elbegast is still continuing to make Colossi. It's not going to get any better for Harrier. He may switch over now because he did. Okay, no, he did actually rebuild that robotics bay very fast. Wow.
Yes, he did. So
immediately put that one down.
He actually doesn't know about this drop sitting up here at the top as well. So big supply lead now for Harrier at the moment. I'm sorry, for Elbegast, what I meant to say at the moment. Harrier sitting on those 5 bases, though, with 60 workers, with a ton of orbital commands to go around, could reproduce these very quickly. I'm actually a little bit surprised that he doesn't have as many units. I mean, I realize he lost a lot to those drops, but still.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you're playing TVP in a late game situation and you lose like 5 medevacs and the stuff that was in them, that really reduces the effectiveness of your overall late game army. And then you run into these situations where Protoss is maxed out, has a huge army, and you just cannot engage. And that's why we see Harrier doing a drop right now down to the 4th base.
Yeah, it's been killing quite a few probes for a while now. We took a look at that before, but looks like he's going to try and get the Nexus, and does once again. So, you know, he's really got to hope that he can continue to hold off waves of units and allow his superior economy to work in his favor. But will he be able to do so?
Nice.
A lot of units making their way in. Yeah, EMPs do hit quite a few of those Zealots, so now they're very low in shields. But the sheer firepower of the Colossi has just not been touched yet, and he cleans up so many of the bio units on the ground. Harrier trying to move back to a little more defensive line. He needs these reinforcements to kill off these Colossi, but just has not been able to do so yet.
Yeah, 117 supply to 102, so things dropping very evenly here. Vikings being targeted down again, but there are still 3 Colossi out on the field here. The production facilities are starting to be camped right now.
Yeah. And that's never a fun sign for a Terran player, as reinforcements are starting to get camped as they make their way out as well.
Yep, here comes some more charge lots. 1 EMP goes down, doesn't really make a big difference. And there's the GGs. The next, has been defeated.